Yep, I'm just glad I'm not the Salesforce guy.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And D23 is going on this week, if you have not heard.
Oh, yeah, I think it's wrapping up right now.
Yeah, and we've got Star Wars debuts for you people. We've got new Marvel show announcements.
Wow, caught me off guard.
Spider-Man is probably leaving the MCU, and more.
I feel like by the time we're done with this podcast, we'll have even more Spider-Man news because holy crap, last week, that Spider-Man news, it was like every hour there was a new development. You didn't really know who was saying what, or even if the official statements were true, or if the studios were just telling us what we wanted to hear. And then
I still don't feel like we have an answer. We're still there.
Exactly. And when we talk on this show, like last week when we recorded the episode, we talked a little bit about this of Sony having this awesome box office return and making all this money with Spider-Man. And I just offhandedly said like, oh, Sony's going to get too big for their britches and, you know, we're going to have some controversy here sooner or later. And then I was like, did I actually say that? Did I just go into like a fugue state and then I predicted the future? So
that's not a prediction according to the reports, Mike. You're way off. You're on the other side of the fence.
Apparently, but I was like, I should keep my mouth shut if I don't want to curse Spider-Man. So I feel like all of that was the biggest news at the beginning of the week, and then D23 came through and just everybody forgot about Spider-Man.
Do you think they had all these, like, we're not going to announce these things, but then, like, Spider-Man's taking over the news section, so we have to really hit D23 hard?
I think they had too much to deal with already. I saw that the lead actress from Mulan didn't show up because of the controversy around like Hong Kong. So I can only imagine the PR team that is at Disney and all the things that they have to juggle at any given time. Like, we are a family studio. We have to do so much to make this studio appear like it's family friendly.
We own half of the actors in the world. We have to make sure they get to the right places on time.
Yes, exactly.
So, but you've done some stuff that we normally be riff-raff. I got nothing this week, Mike. It was a very boring, relaxing weekend for me because of all the work I did last weekend. So I didn't do anything this weekend except relax, play video games, and just take a couple strolls outside the house. You drank some champagne too? You really dug into this relaxing weekend, huh? I did. It's 2 years since we bought our house next week, I think. So we actually opened up one of the bottles we got when we got the house to do that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and then I mowed my lawn this morning. You know, nothing is better than a clean mowing lawn, especially when your neighbor's looks like crap. So I was like, yeah, that looks good. But you went and saw a movie, and I didn't know you were even going to go see this movie. I didn't know it was on your radar, Mike, so I got to know.
Oh, yeah. Well, right now, my wife and I have two films on our radar because it's the summer. We're kind of in between big blockbuster films. So the films we wanted to check out were The Good Boys, which I think came out about 2 weeks ago, and also Ready or Not, which is that kind of like suspense, hide and seek. It seems to have a little bit of like meta humor possibly in there somewhere. So we decided to check out Good Boys first. Probably going to have to wait another week or two until we go check out Ready or Not. But if you don't remember from the trailers, The Good Boys is kind of this friendship comedy based around a bunch of, I think they're sixth graders if I remember right. But the whole pitch of this movie was it's rated R. Like, these kids are going to be getting into some crazy shit. Like, the whole marketing scheme was the kids in this movie aren't even old enough to go see their own movie. And the billboards all around town were like, you must be this tall to see this movie. So my wife and I were just getting ready for just the most, gruesome, just immature, slapstick, gross out humor that we could possibly handle. And we're like, this is going to be great because all of these little kids are going to be at the center of it. By the end of the movie, these kids will be so traumatized and we're just going to have a great time just laughing our asses off in the movie theater. And surprisingly, this movie just does not live up to the rated R rating, which is really sad. If this script just went through a couple more revisions, they could have just made it PG-13 and probably made a lot more money. So basically, if you're looking for them really to take advantage of this R rating, you're not going to see it with this movie. It's just basically a bunch of little kids swearing, and then every once in a while they throw dildos around, which was funny. There was some good jokes in this movie, but I would just wait until it's streaming. I think this would be a nice one just to like kind of sit back on your couch, pull up for free on whatever streaming service you're already paying for, and you'll have some good chuckles and you'll move along. But yeah, a little bit of a waste to go to the movie theater. I wish I would have checked out Ready or Not. So hopefully I'll be coming back to the podcast in a week or two, and we can talk about that one because I've heard really, really good things about that film. So that was my weekend, and then I think while I was in the theater for The Good Boys, D23 was going on with the announcements for more Marvel stuff. So I was like half anticipating the movie to be over so I could whip open my phone and see what news I had missed. So it was an exciting weekend for all of this news that we're going to be talking about.
It's crazy this weekend. Well, first off, I'm not surprised The Good Boys isn't good. It looks like a worse, what was that, Jonah Hill movie with Michael Cera?
Superbad?
Yeah, it looked like a worse Superbad.
Well, I think if I remember right, it's like executive produced by Seth Rogen's company. Yeah, I think so. So that's probably why it looks so familiar.
Yeah, but also like my wife knew just as much D23 things as I did this weekend, and that's like to show, like to tell you how how much Disney's hitting every market possible with their D23 stuff this weekend. It was like she's like, "Did you see this? Did you see this?" She's like, "Oh, not to spill, like She-Hulk," and I'm like. She's like, "You didn't know this? It came out like 10 minutes ago," and I flipped over my phone to where my friend, you met him, Luke, out in California, was like, She-Hulk show, and he sent me the stuff like 15 minutes ago. I'm like,
oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. My wife is always looking for the opportunity to one-up either you yourself on giving me news or one-upping my own self of coming across news. She's like, "Oh, did you hear about this show?" And I was like, "Wait, what?" And I pull up my phone. So, yeah, when Disney puts its marketing arm out there, like you said, they touch every human being on the planet.
Yeah. And just to preface this, I think 90% of our show, if not a little more, is all D23 news that came out this weekend. So we're gonna be going across, and we're not even gonna touch all of it because I'll level with you guys, I'll level with Mike. Like some of the Disney stuff is just not in our wheelhouse. Like as much as we love.
I mean, we're not going to go all in on the Lady and the Tramp teaser trailer?
No, because A, you didn't know about it, and I know we've talked about it before, but B, we're not the audience. God, we are not the audience for that movie.
We are not the Lady and the Tramp podcast, is what you're saying.
No, exactly. And was it the Cruella de Vil, even though it's got Emma Stone as Cruella, and it looks interesting, I'm like, I've got nothing to add to this. Like, there's very little we can talk about for 101 Dalmatians. But D23 is going on, and honestly, I think my wife was like, maybe we can go one year. I'm like, you don't want to go. I saw the lines, man, on Reddit. This thing's wild.
One thing that I saw online of a Twitter person that I follow said, when you have your tickets, I think you pre-register for all of these panels. I don't think it's like Comic-Con where you necessarily have to get in line right away to save your spot. I think it's all a lottery-based system at the very beginning, because one person said like, "Oh, I'm not going to have a lot of news from D23 this weekend because I didn't get into any of the main halls with the lottery." So you could theoretically make the attempt to go, and you'll know beforehand, I think, but if you're going to get into any of these big things. But Chris, also, it's always out here in Anaheim. You can always come and hang out with me. We can go to Disneyland. It's
Anaheim, California, not down in San Diego. So Anaheim's got the other big convention center. And what's interesting about D23 is it is only every 2 years, which, with new stuff like this, hell, they could turn it into every year and have their own little Comic-Con.
Yeah. And it's very confusing because I believe it's always in Anaheim and it's every 2 years, but Star Wars Celebration is every year, but the location changes.
Yeah.
So those are the facts that always get me confused. I was like, no, Star Wars is only every 2 years, and then because I swear I thought D23 was down in Florida one year, and maybe it was, or maybe I'm thinking of Star Wars, but whatever.
It's either way. It's one of those situations where I'm happy I wasn't there waiting in line forever to get some news, because people are updating this online faster than I could even get to it. So it's pretty cool. And I think the biggest thing that, the thing that we have the most questions on, the thing that we're most psyched for through the end of the year, Mike, is in fact, Disney+. And we have, we've known the launch date is November 12th, right? But I was kind of looking at their quote-unquote lackluster content release for the release and kind of saying, hey, that kind of does justify that $6.99, $7.99 price point that they're going for, because there's only 300 movie titles at launch, with more moving only up 200 within the first year. And I don't even know how many movies are on Netflix.
Well, I think the thing that blows most people away is all of this stuff is very premium content. Like, yeah, Netflix can like brag about the size of their catalog, but at any given time, you randomly pluck a movie from Netflix. It's either something you never heard of, a Netflix original film that's probably bad to begin with, or, it's like a movie that, maybe is just kind of like mediocre, you're not too excited about. And plus, they're about to lose a lot of their catalog at the end of the year or the year after, when NBC leaves and when Disney leaves. So I think when I think of 300 pieces of Disney content, I think, wow, that's all 300 really solid pieces of content. So
how many of these do you think you already have?
Probably not a lot, because I don't have a whole lot of physical media. So
well, I meant like even digital, like digital purchases.
Yeah, well, I think that's what makes this more enticing for me, because like, I want to watch Endgame again. I haven't got around to watching it. I'm curious about all of these Disney animated, or lifelike movies, like Lion King and Aladdin. And I don't really want to pay for them, but I know I'm getting Disney Plus. So in back of my head, I'm just kind of thinking, oh, if I just wait around till November, I'm going to get all of these things right on my TV. I'm not going to have to like rent them for like $3.99 for 24 hours on Amazon or YouTube. I can just watch them right in Disney Plus. So I'm actually kind of anticipating the launch of just like, I'm probably going to sit down on my couch for 2 hours and just scroll through the catalog. Like, it's going to be like the worst, even worse Netflix problem, where you're just sitting down and scrolling through Netflix and then just be like, does any of this look good? But with Disney Plus, I'll be like, holy shit, look at all this stuff that's been in the vault that I haven't seen in years.
Well, Endgame is not at launch. There's only 4 Marvel movies when this launches.
Are we sure Endgame's not at launch?
Yes, 100%, because it's Captain Marvel, Iron Man 3, and Thor: The Dark World confirmed as of this weekend.
It must be soon after it releases, because they had this whole sizzle video of Disney Plus, and like
it'll probably be there, but in 2020, but not in the first month,
because they use that iconic scene where Cap grabs Mjolnir, and like he's all covered in dirt, and like he's in that sizzle video, and at the end of the sizzle video it says November 12th. So I don't know what they got up their sleeve exactly for November 12th, but all of these original series that we're going to talk about here in a little bit, they all had that November 12th release date. So that kind of helps too. Like, oh, we have this back catalog of stuff you've probably seen, but we also have all this new stuff on November 12th. I mean, it dwarfs Apple Plus or whatever the Apple TV service is, because I think Apple TV is launching with like 3 shows, which is like minuscule.
I have no the 3 originals, it has a lot more to it. Like, they're gonna have more shows under that, like their licensing, kind of like other things. But I have no idea about them. I have Apple TVs, I don't even care. But no, Endgame is on December 11th. You have 1 month until Endgame comes out.
Oh yeah, I can wait. That's not a big deal.
But I'm just really like surprised it's only 4. I figured they would have had more out the gate, but that's fine.
Well, it's very telling. You can see it's from contracts, because you can see Iron Man 1, then Iron Man 3, because Iron Man 2 right now I think is also streaming on Amazon Prime, because I just had that pulled open the other day and I saw Iron Man 2 there. So Disney is just in this awkward moment, like, we got to push Disney Plus. Now is the time to do it. And unfortunately, we can't just wait around for all of this stuff to expire and just hold on to it and then I'll put it out. So it'd be kind of weird to sit down for a marathon. Well, I'm going to watch Iron Man 1 and then Iron Man 3.
Right. Well, it's like, as you can tell, no one is interested in licensing Iron Man 3 or Thor: The Dark World. 2013 is a year nobody likes to talk about in the Marvel Universe, because those 2 movies, wow. Just wow. Almost every Pixar film was listed, which is cool. Which, those are always solid movies to go back to.
I mean, that's actually really great. I don't buy a whole lot of films off of iTunes, but I like to use their wish list feature, because it helps me like just kind of create like a list of movies I want to rewatch or own. Because sometimes from the holidays you'll get a relative that'll give you like an iTunes gift card, and I can buy the movies there. So I pretty much have every Pixar movie on that list. So it's cool that I won't have to buy them now. They'll just be all in this catalog.
I don't think they ever really licensed those out to streaming services either, if I can remember correctly. It's not like I went to Amazon or Netflix to watch. Well, maybe they had some on like Netflix, but that was cool. Star Wars 1 through 7 and Rogue One are on there as well. So no Solo and no what was the other one? The last one. I want to say Rise of Skywalker because that's all I've been typing today. But it was The Last Jedi. There it is. So there's also 7,500 TV shows. Episodes as well. Like there's going to be a lot of content, but it's like not the 4,000 movies and X number of TV shows like Netflix has. So the pricing actually lines up with what you're getting.
Yeah, I'm curious what some of the deep cut stuff is going to be. Like I said, when we're doing all of our catalog browsing on the first day, like what weird stuff are we going to be like, oh yeah, Disney did own that, or oh no, that was a Fox property and that's why they bought Fox because they have this gigantic TV show on there. So I think that'll be some of the biggest tweets that you see from that weekend of like, oh, I had no idea this was on here. I'm getting ready to watch all this now.
They said there's 100+ Disney Channel original movies coming to it that we talked about the other week. I was hoping, Xenon, Girl of the 21st Century.
All about Brink. I'm going to rewatch me some roller skate racing.
Yep. Rocketeer was definitely listed on there. I don't know if you ever remember watching The Rocketeer.
I remember The Rocketeer.
Which Joe Johnson went on to, he created Boba Fett and went on to do Captain America the First Avenger. So.
Boba Fett. Where?
Here in a minute. We're going to get to it.
All right.
But also, they did confirm this weekend 7 profiles with over, I think, a couple hundred avatars to choose from. So you can be like Iron Man, or you could be Moana, or whoever you want to be.
Elsa. I'm going to be Elsa.
Yeah. But I mean, at that price point, everyone's going to have. My wife was like, she's like, oh, I'm going to have to get a year of this. I'm like, oh, you're buying it this time. I'm like, oh, whoa, Lord. 4K streaming through the service on compatible devices, and you can stream up to 4 devices at once, making it that family-friendly approach.
I think the 4K shot is right across Netflix's bow, because you can only get that if you have the higher tier. So I feel like I kind of like that Disney is making 4K streaming like the standard now. Like this is going to be our base package is 4K. Whether you got the TV to do it or not, you have the option. So this is pure competition in the marketplace right here going at it. Like if there was some sort of like if there was some backdoor dealing or some sort of monopoly, like you would have had to pay extra for 4K. So I like that you just get that off the bat. We were talking before we were recording. We weren't sure if it was confirmed quite yet, but there's a pretty strong rumor out there that these original series are going to come out on a weekly basis, kind of like how HBO did Game of Thrones.
How I prefer it, how Mike doesn't.
Yeah, well, no, actually, I don't mind it that bad, because I was just thinking the other day, like, if Disney does this might finally bring back the appointment television. I mean, I don't know exactly when these episodes are going to get unlocked. I don't know if it's going to be like at midnight, where people just wake up in the morning and maybe can watch it, or if they're going to like air it like, 8 p.m. on like a Thursday or something like that. But, we thought Game of Thrones might be the final appointment television, so maybe Disney can bring that back. But I think it's more strategical than anything else, is because it's a brand new streaming service. Like we talked about, their catalog isn't quite as large as everybody else's. So I don't think they're too worried about people ordering it for 1 month and then canceling it. But I think they like the idea of like, okay, well, if we have like, 8 episodes of The Mandalorian, or maybe 12 or 10, whatever it is. Well, we at least got 8 weeks of premium content for you. So we at least got you on the hook for 2 months no matter what. So, I don't mind the idea. So we're not too sure if it's confirmed yet, but I'm curious if it's going to stay like that for the life of this series. I could see them getting maybe a younger targeted show, like a kids TV show, and then just them dumping it all at once. Like we're going to be talking about some original like animated content later in the show, and I could see that all coming at once.
Well, like there's like a Forky from Toy Story 4. What was it? Forky Ask a Question, I think, is coming out. So like I could see them dumping all 10 of these at once and be like, hey, here you go, kids, enjoy this. What else? When you mentioned 4K, that made me think of something, actually. Apple, when you redeem a digital movie on Apple from a purchase, it actually does not let you do 4K natively on any of their stuff. It actually will only redeem it in the library for 1080. So this is also a target at Apple purchasing. So it's like, no, you can stream at 4K. You don't have to buy the 4K one, since you're not technically getting that through Apple if that's what you use. But Disney Plus, I mean, rounded up to be an awesome service. I mean, to be completely honest, I'm very excited about this.
Keep your eye out for Disney buying like a television company, because you're gonna need a 4K TV soon, and they're gonna want a little bit of that money too.
Or like, what is it when they integrate the Apple TV into the televisions themselves, kind of like Roku does? Or
be like a Disney Smart TV.
Yeah, Disney Smart TV. Yeah, exactly. But they got me on the hook, Mike. I mean, I've got the Muppets coming back. You know, you actually shared this with me before I even saw it, so I want to give you the
I love how at the top of the show we talk about, we're not going to be talking about Lady and the Tramp. This is a superhero comic book show. We get down in the nitty gritty, and then Chris is like, I'm talking about Muppets.
No, I didn't say it was a superhero show. I said it's out of our wheelhouse. The Muppets are definitely in my wheelhouse. I'm sitting.
I saw this news and I was like, Chris is going to have opinions about Muppets this weekend. I'm
sitting right next to a Statler and Waldorf figures, man. This is what I live here. One of my favorite artworks is the Avengers 1 poster drawn as the Muppets, which is Sam Eagle's Captain America, so it's fantastic. But Muppets Now is an unscripted short form series launching on Disney Plus in 2020, which is actually probably the best way for the Muppets to continually live on in what they do. They're going to bring in guests. It's kind of in the vein of the original Muppet Show, Muppets Tonight, and not like the Muppets, which was like, what was that show, 3 years ago or something that was very, very short-lived, kind of like the Office one. Mm-hmm. But Muppets Show, Muppets Tonight, they each had their celebrity guest in. They didn't really script a whole lot. They just winged it or did some musical numbers and went on about their day. If it became a YouTube-only show, like, I'd watch it. Like, that's the kind of stuff Muppets, I think, thrive in. So, But I thought that was fun. Thank you, Mike, for sharing that. I just wanted to give you
no worries. I wanted to know if you were excited, and it sounds like Chris, the Muppet fan, is on board, so everybody else can, don't have to be worried.
You should probably be worried a little bit, but it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. We got other things to worry about. One of the things they unveiled at D23 this weekend was the Star Wars Sagas, a timeline showing all the in-canon TV shows and movies here. I
haven't seen this yet. I love timelines. And ones that are like nicely annotated, not like these the super intricate ones. Okay, all starts with episode 1 until we get those Knights of the Old Republic movies, huh?
Yeah, so right now they've labeled them 3 different things: Age of Republic, the Age of Rebellion, and the Age of Resistance, where all 3 main movies kind of fall into it. Right?
Okay.
And then in between, on the bottom bar, you get to see the additional things here. We'll talk about some of these, but like the Clone Wars animated show sits squarely in between episode 2 and looks like it's going to end right at episode 3 starting. The Solo movie takes place over several years. Rebels takes place over a window of time. Rogue One. Mandalorian takes place well after Return of the Jedi, it looks like. I think they said 10 years. Star Wars Resistance is that new animated show, right? That little bitty, the one, and then Galaxy's Edge, which is the theme park, takes place in somewhere as well.
Yeah, that was pretty funny that they added the theme park. Yeah, it looks like it takes place right between the Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. Cassian Andor, we can see him popping up right in here.
Yep.
Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Solo kind of timeline. Man, look at all these Star Wars logos. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to go back in time when the very first Star Wars movie was in theater and just, like, show some person this chart and be like, hey, are you ready for this? Wait, how old are you? You might be dead before you see all this.
What is wild to me is, for a thing that's been around so far, very iconic, they've used 3 different art styles for each trilogy. And I don't know if that's intentional or what, because the main 3, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, you can say what their subtitles are. Episode 1, 2, and 3, you cannot see what those subtitles are, and the same with kind of the newer ones. You have to look at them a little bit. So, but I think this is cool. This is a good timeline, Mike. We can ponder on this later if something new ever pops up for us.
Yeah, it seems like the Mandalorian is kind of striking in on a time that we don't know too much about, at least when it comes to the films. This gap in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens hasn't really been explored too much, so it looks like The Mandalorian is closer to the Return of the Jedi side of the timeline, but that's like the biggest gap here. So I don't know if Disney looks at the gap of that timeline and goes like, okay, let's make 4 more streaming series to fill up this timeline. We'll have the next movie trilogy. Let's see if we can fit something in there.
But see, they've already gone against that by all 3 streaming things. Only one of them's after, and the other 2 are in the time frame that nobody cares about. In between episode 3 and 4, because they've beat that to death with a stick. So But that's cool. But we're going to talk some more about these shows later. Much like the Clone Wars, the animated show we talked about, Season 7 will debut on February 2020. I assume Seasons 1 through 6 might appear on Disney+.
I would only assume.
I know Season 6 was only available on Netflix. I don't think Netflix produced it, but I think that was just like the home of it. So we get that, and we get a new image of Ahsoka Tano versus Darth Maul, which, you know, looks pretty cool. So, I mean, you haven't watched any of this show, have you?
No, I haven't, but I know you're really into it.
Very much so, very much so. So if you ever get, I mean, maybe when you get Disney Plus, Mike, and you got some downtime, you can crank right through some of this stuff. So I'd really recommend that show.
You know what? Before we start switching into individual shows, I hope Disney Plus in general is really on top of it at launch, and they're on every piece of hardware that there is. Because I watch all of my streaming services either on a Roku in the bedroom or the PlayStation 4 in the main room. So I'm hoping that they know that people aren't just going to be watching it on very specific things. So Disney, go ahead and make sure you got my platforms on lockdown. I don't want to have to wait for you to get around to adapting, the PlayStation 4, because you would think like, oh, the PlayStation 4 is a major video gaming console. It should have all of them. It doesn't. Like if you want to watch any of the CW stuff, like The Flash and Arrow, Supergirl or whatever, like the CW streaming app is not on PlayStation. At least the last time I checked. So it does not. You can't assume that it has everything.
Can I go ahead and give you the official list?
Yes, give me the official list.
Okay. All Apple devices. Okay.
Okay. Expected.
Great. All Android mobile devices and Android TV. Mm-hmm. Chromecast.
Okay.
Desktop web browsers.
Yes, that makes sense.
Xbox One.
Great.
PlayStation 4 and Roku streaming players. Yeah, I was letting this on there.
Perfect. Yeah. You're getting me nervous. I was like, okay, well, if he doesn't end up including those, I do have an older Chromecast. I could throw that back on the TV. I don't want to use it if I don't have to.
Nope. Roku TVs, the streaming players, and PlayStation 4. The only thing that's missing really from it, the big devices, the Amazon Fires. They're not on here, but Amazon doesn't play nice with anybody. So
yeah.
So that's what's going on there. So I thought, so there you go. You have that. You ready to jump into one of the coolest trailers we saw this weekend?
Yes, let's get into this premium content.
Yeah, The Mandalorian, the official trailer hit here, and this looks better than the movies, Mike. I can't believe how good the show looks.
Oh, it looks so great. Like, this has mood just like dripping all over it. This makes me feel really happy because, there's a little part of me worried that Disney Plus was just going to be a little bit too family friendly. So, Star Wars has never really had a whole lot of just blood and guts and gore in it. And I'm not saying this movie or this streaming series is going to change that, but it does feel much more adult. A lot serious. So yeah, yep. And I love the vibe of this trailer.
We watched the leak footage, right? I mean, and that felt really good. But that's off. Someone's filming that in a panel. Is it gonna really look this good? The quality looks so amazing in the show. Like just how they set up the cinematography, how they're actually using props for the spaceships and stuff like that. It looks like a couple Mandalorian standoffs versus like Death Troopers. It's just very, very tense show, and if it's 8 or 10 episodes, I imagine this is going to set the bar very high for new shows on this service. Like this is we're coming out the gate hard with one of our best shows.
Yeah. Now I know we're not going to be talking about Anna Kendrick and Bill Hader's Christmas movie Noel, but I did watch the trailer for that, and I had a similar type of experience where I was like, this looks very expensive. Like, it doesn't look like I'm watching something that's going straight to a streaming service and they're just trying to, push their dollars where they can strategically so they can get the most out of their buck. It looks like, no, a big corporation threw a lot of money at these things, so it works out no matter what. You can tell there's a lot of investment right up front here so they can grab as many subscribers as possible. There's a cynical side of me that could think maybe season like 4 or 5 of The Mandalorian maybe could crank it down a little bit. Who knows? But yeah, it looks so chef's kiss. I love the way that Mandalorian armor looks.
It does. Everything about it feels really, really cool. And again, legit Star Wars, whether it's on Tatooine or not, like the sets and everything, it just seethes old Star Wars. Not new, shiny, fancy Star Wars, like old like dusty, like we're actually filming in a desert kind of Star Wars. And with the lineup of the directors, Taika Waititi, Bryce Dallas Howard, Rick Famuyiwa, if I probably butchered his name, but like all these high quality directors working on it as well with Jon Favreau, I think it's gonna knock it out of the park. And they already announced the season 2, and I think season 2's already started filming or will start filming very shortly. So, you think in another year before they think this is a yearly kind of show, or they're going to try to push it up to the summer?
I don't know. That's a really big question of behind the strategy of going once a week. Like we're going to talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier either on this episode or more in the future. And we don't even know how long those episode orders are. Those could easily just be 5 episodes long. You can't drop those all at once because you'll just binge them all in 5 hours and it'll be gone and done. So, maybe just stretching all of this stuff out, lets it breathe a little bit longer. So season 2 doesn't seem so far away,
Right, exactly. And honestly, I mean, like, I don't know how much a week's, I guess if it's 10 episodes, that could be pretty cool. But like I don't remember. I feel like we've talked about it maybe in the past, but something's telling me 8 episodes. I'm not 100% sure, but if I had to bet, it's 8 episodes. But we'll figure it out once we get closer to November 12th. Yeah, I could probably Google it, but what's the point? One of the other shows they're coming out with, which I think is less hyped, Mike, to be completely honest, is the Rogue One Cassian Andor prequel.
Well, yeah, because nobody was asking for it.
Yeah, it's got Alan Tudyk in his Alan Tudyk verse. He's coming out and doing his thing.
I mean, if they are giving me just like a K2SO show, that might be a little bit more intriguing.
Yeah, I would definitely. I don't know. I'd probably watch it more for him than Cassian Andor, because they all die in the end. But what's it matter? Yeah,
this is prequel. This has prequelitis all over it. I know all these fuckers are dying. So what's the point?
Exactly. They're dead. They're dead. Were they even that cool to begin with? I don't know.
Yeah. Because honestly, all we remember about Rogue One is the very end scene where Vader's chopping up the ship. So I don't think we're going to be getting any more of that in that show.
No. But production begins in London next year, so it is happening. It is one of those shows. It's gonna come out. Maybe we'll be blown away, Mike. Maybe they'll be like, here's a reason for this. Maybe it's setting up seeds for some other spin-off show.
I guess if Disney wants to pay for it, go ahead. What would be cool? Maybe they want to explore the droid verse a little bit more, lean a little bit more into K2SO. And then actually, maybe K2SO backs up his personality and memory into a hard drive, and then he's not actually dead. Maybe season 2 is post Rogue One, and he just reboots himself into a new robot, and then the show just moves along.
Are you literally doing what they did in Solo when they put that robot into the Millennium Falcon?
Did they do that? Oh, yeah. They did do that. Chris, I've forgotten that movie. It's vaporware to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those things. It's they could do it. Maybe it leads into that a little bit. Maybe that robot and that like maybe I don't know. Maybe there's some connection there. Maybe he was freed from that colony of robots in Solo. I don't know. There's a lot they could do with robots. Maybe you're right. Hopefully you're right. Knock on wood. But after 2 years of predictions and rumors and speculations, Mike, that Ewan McGregor Jesus movie is finally going to pay off. And we get that Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus.
Finally confirmed.
The scripts are written, and it starts shooting next year in 2020.
Wow, they're getting that right off the ground. I don't know if I have anything else to add beyond what we said last week. I just hope it's good. Like all of this stuff, I hope it's good. I'm looking forward to this one way more than the Rogue One show, that's for sure.
I think, other than if The Mandalorian did not look as good as it does, this is the only Star Wars show to be excited about on the service.
If I had to be as reductive as possible about Star Wars, what it comes down to me is purely lightsabers. That is the coolest and most iconic thing about the entire universe is the one light weapon that they use. It's so cool and so unique. No one else has really replicated it in the same way. So at least I know an Obi-Wan show is going to have lightsabers, and I can't say the same thing about this Rogue One show. So lightsabers all the way.
Yeah, exactly. And what's cool is this will be during the Solo film timeline, as per that timeline we looked earlier. So Obi-Wan will be taking place in between episodes 3 and 4.
You could speak to this a little bit more than I could, but isn't there a very iconic scene in the Clone Wars where Obi-Wan goes up against Darth Maul?
It is in the Clone Wars and also in Rebels. which is much later than this. So those actually don't overlap with this timeline per the timeline.
Well, and I guess technically, even if the show creator really wanted to, if all of these animated shows are also supposed to be canon, right? Mm-hmm. They couldn't just throw Darth Maul into the Obi-Wan show because it wouldn't fit with the canon of what they've made in the animated universe, right?
They could if he's doing it like maybe like it's not them up against each other and then him killing them again, but maybe he's finding out the existence of him running that criminal empire that we see at the end of Solo, working with Emilia Clarke's character.
Maybe Darth Maul has like a family, right? Maybe he could fight another painted horn person.
He died in the Clone Wars, the animated show. So
well, maybe a long lost cousin. I don't know.
Yeah. Either way, there's a lot of opportunities here for this movie or for this show to tell us more things we don't know and be just really cool and have Mike's Jedi thing. Now, this is one of the shows where we know what happens to Obi-Wan, but the prequelitis isn't set in yet because we don't know what he did in between these movies.
Yeah, I think
that'd be cool.
I almost feel like there's less prequel-itis just because this character is just more iconic and he's just spanned a lot more already. It's almost like they've ripped the Band-Aid off in the prequels. It's like we all knew Obi-Wan was going to die, during the whole showing of the prequels. So it's like, well, he's already been out there for a while now. This almost just kind of seems like a one-off comic book series, Mm-hmm. It's like, we already know what's going to happen, but maybe they'll just have some fun.
Maybe it'll get a couple series. Maybe it'll get a couple seasons of him, slicing down Jawas or whatever he does on Tatooine. Mm-hmm. Becoming old crazy Ben Kenobi, out there in the desert. Mm-hmm. The Rise of Skywalker does not give us a trailer yet, Mike, but we did get the official poster, the teaser poster here.
Yeah, I was so disappointed. Like, I don't know if maybe they didn't want this one trailer to just overshadow all of the Disney Plus news, but I'm kind of anticipating maybe like Tuesday, like in 2 days, maybe we'll get a trailer.
Well, they did show a sizzle reel kind of thing for this footage that encapsulates the entire Star Wars saga, right? Because this culminates and finishes all of them, and it did include new footage. And EW said, Entertainment Weekly said it would be online Monday.
Okay.
And show some of that new footage. Now, Mike, first things first about this poster. Who do you not see or see, depending if Mike's looking close enough?
Well, I think you sent this to me over the weekend, and I was like, well, who's the dude in the background? Because, I was just like, I was on the move, checking it out on my phone, and you're just like, oh, this is like the Emperor. So I saved the photo, and I opened up like the iPhone editing tools, and I cranked up the brightness, and you can see him a lot better, because obviously it's an ominous figure in the background with a hood, but that could be pretty much anybody in the Star Wars universe. So yeah, once you brighten it up, you can definitely tell it's the Emperor.
Yeah, Emperor Palpatine, not only did he return in the teaser trailer with his creepy laugh at the end, now you get to see him and Rey and Kylo Ren with his welded helmet back on together, fighting on. Looks like someone said it's one of those gravity poles that Obi-Wan disabled on the first Death Star. One of the because it looks like they might be fighting in the wreckage of the Death Star 2 where Emperor died. Can I tell you some of the things that obviously are in news article headlines all across the world that they showed in this footage, Mike?
Well, I can tell you one thing that I came across, and tell me if cross-reference it, let me know it was true. I heard somebody online describe a scene in which Rey is dressed as like somebody from the dark side. Does that cross-reference with anything that you're talking about? She had like a red lightsaber.
She has a double-bladed red lightsaber and is dressed in the Sith robes for the footage, and none of the stuff showing us thus far is going there, but I have no idea what's going on.
I think the easiest possibility there is like she could just be undercover. I mean, how many times have we seen Star Wars characters put on the bad guys' costumes, to get one over on them? Mm-hmm. Or maybe they're gonna do a little bit more like nuance. Like maybe she does feel like she needs to be on the dark side. Maybe she is getting pulled around. But I feel like Rey might be a little too smart for that. Especially the last time we saw her, she was flying away with all those Jedi texts. Mm-hmm. I feel like all of those would definitely indoctrinate her even more into the light side.
It could be be one of those things like where Luke kind of saw himself as like Darth Vader. What was it on? Was it Return of the Jedi?
Oh, it could just be like a whole visual.
Yeah, and this could just be leading us the wrong way, or not at all. We have no idea, but I mean, I want to see this double-bladed lightsaber. Apparently, it's like U-shaped and then folds out to become the double-bladed.
Whoa, that's rad. You know how I like lightsabers.
You do. Mike really loves lightsabers, especially when they're new styles, new designs. Also, I think Darth Vader's helmet makes an appearance again. Apparently, Kylo's been keeping it in like a little safe.
I think I heard about that.
So other than that, I mean, I want to see this. I want to see what comes out on Monday, and then hopefully we get this trailer very soon because we're hitting. I mean, Labor Day's next weekend, Mike. We're hitting fall right after that. Like it's September, and you know this movie's coming out. Not that we're not gonna buy a damn ticket to it, but show us some footage.
Exactly.
Star Wars is also next month re-releasing all the movies and Blu-rays, all 10 of them. Why are they not waiting until after Rise of Skywalker? I'm sure they already have one made, a case. But if you're a physical media whore and you want the Blu-ray plus digital codes, here are the new cases that all look, similar to each other that you can add on to your shelf. In a line, you'll never see the front of the cases. You'll just see the spine the whole time.
This just has greedy corporate hands all over it because they're putting this out mainly because they bought Fox, so now they have the ability to distribute the very first Star Wars movie, which Fox had held on to that right for such a long time, so they were making money off of that. So now Disney's like, well, fuck you, we own all of this now, and we want to make some money during this holiday season, before, because you're not going to have the physical release of Rise of the Skywalker by the holiday season, so we're going to go ahead, and there's going to be plenty of people that buy this box set for their loved ones, not knowing that this will probably end up on eBay or at a Goodwill when the next box set comes out.
Well, I think the thing is this isn't even a box set. I think these are all just individuals.
Maybe.
So you can go buy them individually. But I'm pretty sure last Black Friday, they had redone all of them, like maybe steelbooks.
I feel like they'll just do it every year. There's always somebody out there who doesn't have the collection yet or doesn't mind buying it for a fourth time.
Yeah, or someone who's again holding on to physical media. Like, what's just your preference? What can I say? I mean, I just think it's funny that these are all like Infinity War colored themes. Like, here's your Infinity Gems on your Star Wars movies, so some cross pollination.
Well, this does make sense now that you said that maybe this isn't a box set, because if you look at the cover, they all say Blu-ray digital code. They all have kind of like the same repeat graphics on them. And if it was in a box set, they just wouldn't put it on every one. Yeah. Usually each sleeve looks a little sleeker when it's all in a box.
Yeah, I have the original Blu-ray releases when they came out with like the individual trilogies. With all the bonus discs. And now, you don't get bonus discs with all that other content, which is... a little sad. Hopefully they have that on Disney Plus, and maybe whenever they do come out with, do I have The Last Jedi? I don't even know if I have The Last Jedi or The Force. I probably have them.
You remember back in the day before like a franchise would finish up, they would sell a box set, but they would leave one empty slot in the box.
X-Men did that all the time. They're like, why? Like every movie, buy the new X-Men movies. Well, you're putting another one out in like 3 months. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, well, the thing that would drive me insane, which is one reason of many why I don't buy physical media anymore. If I was to go out and buy all of these DVDs, Rise of Skywalker will come out and it won't look anything like this. Like it'll be totally different, or it'll be like just off enough to where if you put them all on your bookshelf, like all of the logos don't line up on the edge, and it would just drive me insane. So.
Yeah. Well, what's really cool here, my favorite 2 movies out of all these listed right here, Mike, don't have lightsabers. A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, Mike. They don't have lightsabers on them.
It's all about the lightsaber.
How do you feel about that? Huh? It's got Boba Fett, though.
Well, I'm definitely not buying these now.
But yeah, so take a look at them. I mean, I know that we got Star Wars fans. If you want to buy them, get them. That's pretty cool. But if you want to wait for Rise of Skywalker, about May of next year, you can probably get the whole Star Wars set all in one nice little package. But we're not here to talk just about Star Wars, Mike. Star Wars is awesome. Star Wars is life. But Marvel is bigger. Marvel Studios hit the D23 floor with a huge banner showcasing their Phase 4 characters. And this is in the Infinity colors because we're going to see the Infinity Stone colors for the rest of our lives with Marvel now. But you get Black Widow, Hawkeye, Loki, Winter Soldier, Falcon, Doctor Strange, Valkyrie, Thor, Scarlet Witch, Vision, and then you get the Watcher and a Celestial thrown in here as well.
This is I mean, I could see the Celestials possibly being popping up in maybe Thor's universe again, but I think the Watcher is very interesting too. Like, he could pop up pretty much anywhere, but this could also maybe be a hint towards the Marvel What If. Maybe the Watcher could show up there.
Well, yeah, I mean, we know this. I mean, so the Eternals already are dealing with the Celestials, but yes, the Watcher is the narrator for Marvel's What If. Because they cast, I forget his name. He's Bernard in Westworld, the main guy.
Oh, yeah.
And there's also like a little face to the left of the Watcher there. I don't know what that is.
Oh, yeah, that is a little bit of a face.
I don't know what that is, but I think that, this is really cool artwork, concept art showing the characters. I don't know where Valkyrie pops into play unless she's in Thor: Love and Thunder, and that's kind of why she's like the biggest thing. I know she is, but the biggest thing there. But I think this was really really fun piece of work here. Even though some older artwork compiled together, but they wanted to let you know, hey, these are your Phase 4 leads. Be prepared to get reacquainted with them. However, you'll notice that Spider-Man is not on this poster, Mike. Not that he was ever announced for Phase 4, but as everyone probably in the world knows, Sony and Disney could not come to an agreement, and the current plans are for Spider-Man to not be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe anymore.
I feel like we almost need to take this like day by day, a rundown of how the news happened. Like when the news first came out, it was everybody just rushed to say this partnership is over. They couldn't come to an agreement. Like, Spider-Man's done, kaput. Sony is moving on its own. And then everybody kind of like freaked out. All of the memes, all of the news headlines, all of the image macros hit the internet. And then things started to backpedal a little bit, where people are saying, well, Deadline got the information wrong. They misquoted somebody, or they rushed to the news, and Sony was just like, no, we're still hoping something will come through. We don't really know exactly what's happening yet. Disney was apparently saying something like, oh, they didn't even want to negotiate. There's like so many different angles you can take at this too. Most people were on Disney's side / Spider-Man's side, where they just wanted him to stay with all of his friends and being able to play. I saw some contrarian voices out there taking the opposite approach, saying like, well, Sony owns Spider-Man, they can do whatever they want with him. And Sony was already giving away like 5% of their box office to Disney, and they weren't getting any of the merchandising. So why would Sony want to, I think, give up 45% more because Disney wanted to go 50-50? Who knows if any of this stuff was even true? This was all just hearsay that was getting out into the public. Me and you were texting back and forth all week, thinking that this was all just like some negotiation tactic.
And
out in public.
And to be honest, it probably still is. Like, because no one is throwing anybody under a bus here. Like, they're all like the only official statements from Sony was like, we couldn't, come to an agreement with Disney, and then Kevin Feige was just like, hey, we knew this was for a short time only kind of thing. So I still think there's a possibility for these people to come back together, and they're just like letting some cooler heads prevail right now. I don't know. Like, all I heard was like, Sony was like, yeah, we'll give you, Disney wanted 50% of all the box office, and Sony's like, how about this, we'll give you 25%, and Disney was like, no, and then everyone couldn't find a medium, and that was it. So I'm just like, I don't even know what to do. But
yeah, Tom Holland was at D23 this weekend. I think he said like the only thing he was able to confirm that he was still going to be playing Spider-Man. But Tom, that does not answer the question that we had to begin with. But I'm glad at least he's out there talking, not just like skipping the convention, trying to take like the easy out.
He had to be there for Pixar onward.
Yeah, but I think this is all gonna boil down, and it's all gonna go back to the status quo. I don't think Sony is like dumb enough to exit this franchise that makes them a lot of money, and also I don't think Disney is dumb enough to let just Spider-Man just escape from their fingers. Because even if Disney can spin this and make it look like Sony's fault, at the end of the day, most people in the world don't make their movie going decisions based on the studio that makes the movie. Like in a couple of weeks, no one's even going to remember this anymore. Even the people, just like the average movie goer, this will be totally out of their normal news cycle. And then they'll just see like, oh, a new Spider-Man movie's coming out, and they'll go check it out, and they'll be like, oh, it is kind of weird they didn't reference Iron Man, but whatever, I'm going to go see Venom 2 in a couple months anyway. So everybody kind of loses, and even though Disney is like super rich, Sony's also super rich too, because they don't just make movies and stuff. They make like electronics and hardware too. They have different avenues for income as well. You know, if you're talking specifically about the movie studio, it's a little different. But I think everybody will come to terms and will get Spider-Man back to where he belongs. So I'm a little nervous just because you can never trust the ego of an executive. But I think the money will speak, and people will get back to where we belong.
Well, the thing is also, if you look into it, Tom Rothman, the person who heads Sony, he's known for being a master negotiator in terms of all this stuff. So honestly, I mean, if that's his reputation and that's what he's known for in the movie industry, like, then yes, there's probably still a lot more behind the scenes we don't know. We might be getting months old information. I was told this happened 6 months ago, even before the movie came out and they hit $2 billion, because we heard, hey, Sony, if they don't make $1 billion, they're going to get the rights back, right? And that was all bullshit lie. Yeah, I think, there's a lot going on here that we don't know, because if worst case scenario, Mike, we get another Spider-Man movie and another Avengers appearance, I think is worst case scenario here. Because then that would wrap up a trilogy and put him in the Avengers one more time.
Yeah, and they got time to figure it out too, because it's not like we were going to see Spider-Man anytime soon in the MCU proper, because they have all of this other stuff being set up, and we just finished up a brand new Spider-Man film, so
two of them this year.
It would be at minimum 2 more years until we saw a Spider-Man film, and if it was going to be in 2 years, it would have been announced already. So they have time, luckily, to figure all of this stuff out. But I think the craziest thing about this story is, like, this is almost like the debate club's like perfect topic, because there's just so many angles you can take from it. Because you might think Disney is being greedy, but also you could look at it from Disney's point of view, going like, we made these movies successful. If it wasn't for Kevin Feige's creative direction and all of Disney's hands in the pie, you just would have ended up with another Andrew Garfield Spider-Man mess. So why wouldn't we at least negotiate for more money and just see where we could get? Maybe we could move the needle from 5% to 10%. Who really knows? But
if they were offered 25 and they said no, it sounds like they're greedy.
Yeah, we and also we'll just never know.
Yeah.
Like, they're never gonna publish exactly what happened, but and it almost seems strategic too. Like, really, all of this news comes out the weekend before Disney's single biggest weekend of the entire year. So yeah, there's something going on here for sure. So stay tuned, stay subscribed. This is an ongoing, developing story.
Mm-hmm. And John Watts, who is the director of the first 2 Spider-Man movies, is either beholden to Spider-Man 3 or either studio, so he's also caught in a custody battle between them, because Marvel has been reported one is for another MCU project down the road. But if it all irons out, who cares? Another movie that we heard about at San Diego Comic-Con but did not get a date for was Black Panther 2, and they actually squeezed in the Black Panther 2 release date for May 6, 2022, with Ryan Coogler returning as the director for this movie.
Yes. The biggest news here is the date for sure. We just didn't know when it was coming out.
Yeah, we know nothing else. That was really all they gave us. And if you head over to superheroslate.com, click upcoming superhero stuff, it's in there already. I went ahead and updated it today with today's date to let you guys know we got all this stuff in here.
So, Chris, does Black Panther 2 technically fall within Phase 4 then? Or is it outside of it?
From what they've announced, Phase 4, it's outside of it. Now, however, we're going to talk about something later on in the show where it may still be Phase 4 and we just don't know it yet.
Oh, okay. Sneaky.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Black Widow, however, is our first movie next year for May of 2019 or 2020. And they actually, they're filming right now. There's a bunch of set photos. But what's cool is they actually had on a white suit on display there that she'll be wearing in the movie, which is, full white, Black Widow belts, guns, fingertipless gloves, and she still got her chakras on her wrists.
I was about to say maybe this white suit is tactical for like being in like Russia or Siberia during the snow, but then you said fingerless gloves, and I was like, no, you want to cover up those fingers first and foremost when you're in the snow. So maybe it's just white for the sake of being cool, and not for being tactically camouflaged in the snow. Yeah,
maybe this is her in-game Infinity War suit before it got dirty, all those years in between, because this takes place between Civil War and Infinity War.
Yeah, she just never washes it.
Never washed it. But yeah, other than that, I mean, there's nothing really, I guess, cool about it other than the fact that it's white and it's got a really high collar, really, really fancy looking. Mm-hmm. So we got that going for us. There was some new footage shown this weekend as well. Hopefully that'll ever hit the internet. We'll talk about it. But until that point in time, we're just gotta wait, man. None of the stuff leaked this year. I'm really disappointed.
Yeah, come on, leakers, get to it.
Yeah, get on it. The Eternals, however, probably had one of the bigger presentations. They brought all the cast on stage and put them in front of their costume concept art behind them, Mike. And now I have the picture of that concept art next to their comic book versions, so you can tell what they originally look like versus what they look like in the movie.
This is very helpful. This is awesome because it doesn't matter if you show me all the concept art of what these costumes look like. I have no reference for the Eternals. I don't know anything about them. So the new Eternals costumes seem very rooted in the cosmic MCU. So I can say that these feel right at home for sure. I'm curious. Are they going to be fighting in these costumes? Do they have more like battle worn gear? Is this what we're going to, when they suit up to go fight a threat, is this what they look like? Because some of this kind of looks a little casual too. Some of these look a little bit like dresses. Some of them look like formal attire. I don't really know exactly what to take away from the type of costumes that they're wearing.
Yeah, I think this is like Andy Park, I think, is a concept artist. He has a very distinct look and style, and you can't really tell if it's hard or malleable, like based on the sheen he puts on it. Like it looks like Angelina Jolie's character. It looks like something out of Wonder Woman, to be completely honest. The white one. From the end.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
And then some of these people, like the fourth guy over in the purple, looks like something out of Doctor Strange. So they definitely have a lot of look and feel to it, but I mean, until we see them in it, it'll be.
This is a huge cast too. This is 10 people. This is like trying to establish like 2 Guardians of the Galaxies off the bat, because I see that comparison used a lot. Like, oh well, if Guardians was able to make like a tree and a talking raccoon work with all of these brand new characters that nobody had no reference to, I think they can do it with the Eternals also. And there's nothing wrong with that logic there. But this is such a huge team. It makes me think that like some of these characters are just not going to have a lot to do in the movie, because like you're just not going to have the runtime to do it. So we're definitely going to have some characters that are telling most of the story, and some of these other ones might kind of be in the background, saving them for the next film.
Well, what's cool about this is the first 8 people, the left 8, were already announced at San Diego Comic-Con. The right 2 is Gemma Chan, who was actually the blue villain in Captain Marvel, the blue girl who shot what's her face at the end there.
Sure.
What's her name? I have the pop Minerva. It's right there. Will be Cersei, which is the green character on the end, who's I think I remember the most from all the characters. Everyone thought Angelina Jolie would be Cersei. Barry Keoghan from Dunkirk as Druig, who is a villain. They're the second from the left. But I think the biggest thing here is, although we have lost 1 Stark in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Mike, we've gained 2 in this movie alone. Kit Harington.
Boy, have we.
Game of Thrones will be joined as Dane Whitman, who is known as the Black Knight in the comic books. And he'll be a non-Eternals character in this movie, along with the guy who played Robb Stark, who was the main character in this on the far left. So
Kit Harington really stretching his legs, going from a medieval sword wielder back to medieval sword wielder. I mean, they'll be able to update him a little bit, because if I remember right, the Black Knight he's not like immortal, right? Or does he just live really long?
I think there's several versions. I don't know which version they're going to go with. So I think he'll be, maybe if this movie takes place across thousands of years, he could possibly be an ancestor in his like self if they do go through medieval times. I don't know. Like there's a bunch of options here.
See, now every time we talk about the Eternals, in my mind I just can't break from the fact that these are like cosmic characters, even though you keep telling me that the Eternals are earthbound. They might have cosmic roots, but these are very much characters that are on Earth, right?
Yes, they were created. They are Earthlings who were granted abilities from visiting Celestials. So they are humans. They're just powered.
So that works with the fact that the Black Knight is also going to be earthbound, but also all of these costumes that we just looked like, they do feel and look very cosmic, like they're walking around like the deck of a spaceship, like a space royalty, if you will. So and it looks like there's also like maybe like stars behind them, there's like some like stuff going on there. So I don't know what's going on with these characters. I don't know jack about them, so I'm probably gonna have to hunt down an explainer video out there on the internet, or maybe read some comic books. I'm sure there's going to be lots of reading recommendations out there now that these characters are out there in front.
One of my friend, listener to the show, Patrick, he reminded me last week. Neil Gaiman wrote one of the I think the volume 3 of the Eternals in the early 2000s. It's like a 10-issue, maybe 12-issue series. I have those covers, and it looks a lot like these characters the most from that. But also, like I said, it's confirmed as the earliest set Marvel Studios film that spans thousands of years through the Marvel history, possibly setting up pantheons and gods, and because these people live forever and have superpowers, so they could different cultures could view them as gods and deities. So I thought that was really cool that they did that and were able to pull those people up there and show them against their costumes. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I just looked this up, Mike. It is 6 episodes. You don't have to worry. But they unveiled literally while we've been recording the first poster at D23. So you can take a look here at the first poster of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier from D23, from Disney Plus's own Instagram.
Look at Bucky. He's getting cleaned up. He looks like he did in the first Avengers movie. Yeah. He's shaved. He cut his hair. It's combed back. It looks like he's ready to integrate back into society after being dusted and killing a bunch of aliens and killing more aliens again, and
also killing people at some point.
losing his best friend to old age and time travel.
Yeah, and his arm. I mean, there's a lot going on here. So that's a cool looking poster. They all come together. Looks like Falcon's kind of got some red, white, and blue Captain America colors going on in his thing as well. So Carrie Skoglund, I typed that in wrong, who is known for working on The Handmaid's Tale, is directing the 6-episode series. And it's coming out tentatively August of 2020 next year. All
right, so we got about a year to go. I've caught a couple episodes of The Handmaid's Tale that my wife has been watching, and I don't know if directed by the same person, but it's a solid show. It's won a bunch of Emmys, so that's definitely a good place to pull talent from.
Yeah, the only time I've ever seen it was when I was visiting you last month, and I was like, what is this show and why is it so like gut-wrenching?
That is the brand of the show for sure.
It is not a feel-good show at all.
Yeah, I believe Anthony Mackie this weekend confirmed that he was not going to be Captain America. I don't know in what aspect or what was the context of the question, but I think he's kind of getting ahead of saying like, hey, I'm not about to get the shield. I'm not going to put on the stars and stripes, and I'm not going to be running around calling myself Captain America.
Yeah. Well, he's got the shield. He just won't be the Captain America probably.
Yeah.
Also, Emily Van Camp will return to Sharon Carter. Probably figure out, why Captain America kissed her and then, went back to marry her aunt later on. Gotta figure that one out. Wyatt Russell, a actor from Overlord, joined the cast as a U.S. agent, or John F. Walker, who was he kind of filled in for Captain America in a couple places, but he was like a wannabe kind of Captain America from the government in the comic book. So
it seems like with these cast of characters, we're going to be pulling a lot from maybe the government side of things. Maybe that's where Falcon and the Winter Soldier are going to be getting their orders from. I don't know if this is going to be some sort of proto or resurgence of S.H.I.E.L.D. or maybe just a higher up in the U.S. government. But yeah, if they're bringing in like government entities, it looks like we're going to be telling that kind of a story.
Yeah, exactly. How do we replace Captain America as an icon kind of thing? Because I mean, literally, all we saw in Spider-Man was like, oh my God, Tony Stark's dead. Oh my God, and there was like maybe 2 Captain America references, so they really need to dive into that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind somebody giving me a straight answer of what's up with S.H.I.E.L.D. now. I feel like once S.H.I.E.L.D. fell from Hydra in the Winter Soldier, you kind of got some more answers from the S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, but at the same time, we don't really know how much of that is canon or how much the MCU even really cares about what they're doing over there on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And it seems like they were underground, and then they came back, and then Nick Fury is just kind of like out there in the public, like fighting Mysterio, but he's still got Maria Hill on his side. I don't know who's signing their paychecks. I don't know what's going on there. So maybe this show will give us some answers about S.H.I.E.L.D. in general.
Oh, you know where Nick Fury is. You know where he is.
Oh yeah, he's in. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. We can spoil it. Whatever. He's in space.
Yeah, he's in space. He's a sword or something going on up there. I don't know. That's wild. I mean, that's apparently maybe that'll be the only remnant of that movie going forward is sword. But anyway, so yeah, there's probably going to be some government. This looks very, very governmental, and if they're going to rebuild S.H.I.E.L.D., that's the series they're going to do it in for sure. WandaVision, still horrible name, has some and surprise casting announcements, to be completely honest. Kat Dennings, who played Darcy in the Thor movies, and Randall Park, who played Jimmy Woo in Ant-Man and the Wasp, will return as those characters in this show.
Who doesn't love these characters? Two characters from movies that I would consider bottom tier Marvel movies. I wasn't the biggest fan of Ant-Man 2. I wasn't the biggest fan of Thor: The Dark World. But I love both of these characters, so I'm so glad that they're getting plucked from those films and being put into something else.
You tag in at New Edition Catherine Hahn, who actually voiced Octavia Spencer in Into the Spider-Verse as a nosy neighbor, and she's known for comedian things like Step Brothers and all those other comedy movies. This sounds more like a comedy series than an actual drama series by this point, with all these funny people.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how does Darcy work into this story. Like, I still don't know anything about this series. Last we saw, Vision was dead. Is he getting rebooted? What's going on here? Like, maybe Vision gets rebooted, but he has like robot amnesia or something like that, so he has to go live with Wanda to regain his electronic memories. I don't know what's gonna go on here. So maybe his best environment to chill in is gonna be like a suburbs in the neighborhood, which will kind of harken back to that popular comic book series. But what is Darcy, just like conveniently their neighbor, or what's going on?
Well, Darcy, she is known for, she's not the smartest scientist, but she does know science because she was with Natalie Portman's character in all those. So it could be something to do with that. Jimmy Woo could be, monitoring Wanda's living her daily life, because honestly, I think if you have to look at the long term thing. The next movie Scarlet Witch is in is Doctor Strange in the Realm of Madness, or whatever it is, Multiverse of Madness. So like, is she altering reality to make all this stuff happen with her powers rather than bringing somebody back? I don't know. I really don't know. But if you're a fan of the show Fargo, who tells stories in weird ways, Matt Shackman, who worked on Fargo, was directing this 6-episode series as well.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Solid directors from TV coming over to Disney Plus.
Yeah, these shows are starting to line up. They're starting to be real, Mike. Like, they're not just theories anymore. Like, rumors.
I can't wait to see the first trailers, just because if these are 6-episode series, these are very short series. I mean, this is the shortest streaming series I think we've ever seen that's going to have this much money thrown at it. Now, for the landscape of Hollywood, this could be a little worrisome because, being employed on a 6-episode show is not going to employ you for a whole year. So it's just going to create even more jumping around, which is not good for workplace stability. But when it comes down to the end consumer, like us that gets to watch it, it just seems like we're going to have really awesome high budget 6-episode TV series. Because I feel like if this was a Netflix move, they would let's stretch this to 10 episodes or 13 episodes and have just 3 of them be really boring that you want to skip over, but you can't because there's going to be some critical character development in there somewhere.
But the difference is this actually has to tie into the film universe as well directly. And
exactly.
So they're like, hey, we've got pretty much, I'm looking at this as a long movie rather than a series. Like, we're going to tell this one long movie, and this is going to tie into the universe at large. So I think this is really cool, especially with this character. I mean, Falcon and Winter Soldier, we don't know if they'll ever pop out of that show. Will they ever come back into the movies? I'm sure the Falcon will for maybe an Avengers, but Wanda is definitely coming into Multiverse of Madness, which is the next movie right after hers, and all this magic. And then the other magic user is Loki. He's getting his show. He's also getting 6 episodes to his show that spring as well, which I saw. I think I sent you this leaked video from there. It shows stuff we already know, but the logo flips through tons of fonts before it lands on the ones we get, which was interesting. It's not just
So it looks like Loki's going to be jumping around different time periods, maybe even different films, like they did at the end of Endgame, where they're doing that nostalgia trip through all the Marvel films that we love. But it looks like we have our answer here. These standalone, well, not standalone, these Marvel streaming series are going to be 6 episodes.
Yeah.
If this works out well, that's probably what they're going to be moving forward.
Yeah. And that's fine. And if, like Mike said, if that's 6 hours of 6 weeks of WandaVision, right? And then that spaces out the time in between MCU movies, like that's gonna feel like we have Marvel every week forever.
And if you stack it, that's 18 weeks of like Marvel content. That's crazy. That means every week on the show, we can like talk about like these premium episodes that just aired. That's crazy. Yeah. We might have to just wait and stack them up and do like just one review for the whole season. But yeah, we'll be able to just like chime in and be like, oh, how's WandaVision going for you? I think that's fun.
Yeah, exactly. And all of these. So that's really, 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 really cool. Now, the other one that probably is, I don't think this will be weekly, and mostly because I think it doesn't work that way, is What If. It will have 23 episodes, one for each MCU movie in the Infinity Saga. And that's 23 weeks of shows, Mike, and I assume it'll probably be half-hour stuff rather than hourly. Maybe 22 minutes or 30.
Or, I mean, it could be even shorter. I mean, since the animation production takes a long time to get off the ground, it's very labor-intensive. I could almost see these, because they've been kind of marketing them also, not really as directly calling them shorts, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised, and I'm preparing myself that these could be as short as like 15 minutes, because that's also a little bit standardized in the animated universe. Like you could either have like a 12-minute show or a 22-minute show, and there's really no hour-long shows out there. So I think at 23 episodes, don't be shocked if they end up being 12 minutes each.
Yeah, I don't think they will, simply because some of the stuff is going to be they're going to be talking about each movie. We're going to see some of this stuff, like the Winter Soldier will battle Marvel zombies. How do you do that in 12 minutes? I just don't know. Steve Rogers in an Ironmonger style suit fighting next to Captain Carter, and we got the first look at her concept art in this, which is
she looks badass. There's a couple other shots that I saw where they show her going into the chamber that Captain America goes into just before he gets transformed. And she's just looking like all badass and buff. Of course, she's not topless like Steve Rogers was. She's in like a tank top because that would be kind of weird and distracting. But yeah, I'm so excited to watch her get badass.
And there was also one of T'Challa suited up as Star-Lord. So how do they do that?
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So there's a lot more here. I think, how do you explain that in 12 minutes? I don't know. But they've also said the art style or the animation style is maybe similar to Star Wars Resistance, which may not be as maybe intensive as some of the other ones, since you talked about that earlier. So I'm excited to see more about this. I really want to know what's going on and how they make these work for 23 episodes and what season 2, I guess, looks like for these, if they go a little wilder.
Let's do it. I'm ready. Yeah. Here's my $7, Disney.
Yeah. Well, and in that case, we're going to talk about the next set of Phase 4 shows. These have been...
These next 3 things are the biggest news for me this week, for sure.
Yes. First and foremost, they have added a Miss Marvel show to Disney Plus lineup. British writer Bisha K. Ali, I don't know who this is, but she sounds like she's equipped to handle the job, will write the series. And this will debut on Disney Plus after the Hawkeye series.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talked about this a little bit in rumor, I feel like last week or maybe the week before, that this could be a possibility, and we were talking about, she kind of, her body kind of changes a little bit like Mr. Fantastic. I wonder how this will work out, but either way, like, I'm totally down. I own the very first trade on my bookshelf. Great story. I'm looking forward to this. So this one was exciting news, but I wasn't as shocked to see it happen.
Yeah. If you've been anywhere online and everyone's like, Netflix, do this show next, what show are they going to say, Mike?
Oh, it's got to be Moon Knight.
It's got to be Moon Knight. And Marvel's like, you know what? We got you, fam. We're adding a Moon Knight to our Phase 4 lineup. Right after Miss Marvel, we get Moon Knight.
If you can tell, we're increasing the shockedness of it, because I was not expecting Moon Knight at all, but there had been all of those rumors circulating ever since like John Wick 2 came out that, oh, maybe Keanu Reeves, because Marvel is always approaching Keanu, maybe Keanu could be Moon Knight, and that's not exactly what was announced, but at least Moon Knight's name was out there, so still shocking, but just a little bit more shocking than Miss Marvel.
Yep. So Moon Knight, again, this is where I included a time. They show a timeline of the Disney Plus Phase 4 shows here. So Mike likes his timelines to see what order what's coming in. So
I'm a visual learner, Chris. I'm a visual.
It's fine. So it goes Miss Marvel, Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, Moon Knight. Then finally, the biggest surprise, She-Hulk.
Whoa, coming out of left field. I was so shocked to see this, because this is just, I just want to know what they're going to do. Is this going to be Bruce Banner's cousin still? Are they going to keep her as a lawyer? Like, is she a lawyer? Like, are they going to change the city that she's in? Because I feel like she crosses paths a lot with Matt Murdock in some important storylines. So we know Daredevil's out of the picture there. So I guess they just need a new lawyer in the system.
This is looking at 3 years out, Mike. Those Daredevil rights could be done by the time this comes out with
yeah,
She-Hulk.
maybe. I mean, they could always just drop like a coy line of Murdoch, at law or whatever.
Or they have a Daredevil.
Yeah, who knows? But I was not expecting She-Hulk. I mean, now the biggest anticipation I have is, where's the concept art? Who are they casting as She-Hulk? What's going to happen here? Because if you're not familiar with She-Hulk, she's not as gigantic as the Hulk. I think the strengths are somewhat comparable, but she seems to be a little bit more in touch with her humanity, kind of like how Bruce Banner ends up in Endgame. So I'm just like, what do you do? Is she just going to be like a green person in a business suit, or is she going to transform throughout the series? Is she going to have her own origin story, or is she just always going to be out there?
Yeah, she's known to transform occasionally. This series, they said that we'll follow Jennifer Walters, and she will be a lawyer, so you've got that going for you. That's literally all we know. But she's also She-Hulk can do that. She got her powers from a blood transfusion from Bruce Banner, and that's how she became the Hulk. She wasn't irradiated like he was in a lab accident, because she is not as sciencey as her cousin Bruce Banner. So
yeah, and it makes you think, if you do a She-Hulk show, Bruce Banner has to show up. He doesn't have to be in the whole show, but he's got to be in there somewhere. And the best thing about this being a Disney Plus show, imagine if we were having the same conversation about She-Hulk coming to Netflix. We would have zero expectation that you would ever see Bruce Banner show up in that show at all. But now, since all of these things have to come together, it makes me think, well, is there a chance we might see Moon Knight in the proper MCU? What about Miss Marvel? We know that she is a fanatic for Captain Marvel, so are we going to see Brie Larson drop into her show? Or hell, just maybe put Miss Marvel in Captain Marvel's next movie. They team up and go fight a bad guy together. Like, there's so many more possibilities now that this just isn't on loan to a different streaming service now.
What's cool for Moon Knight is, one of my favorite Moon Knights is when he's got multiple personalities in his head, right? In his head, he had Captain America, Wolverine, and Spider-Man. So he became all three of those at different points during like his fighting. So he has the ability to do that. Now he can pull any hero out of his mind and become that.
I also googled the Moon Knight. He has a moon copter. He has a crescent-shaped helicopter. In Disney, I dare you to do it. Yeah. I dare you to give this man a giant moon-shaped helicopter.
They almost did it with Thanos. His sword was the copter blade. So
yeah, there you go.
They got away.
Yeah, that's huge news. That blew me away. This is the type of announcement that I would expect to see at a Comic-Con, not just kind of at D23, which I guess it's totally like rechanging the way we look at D23 now. But man, this is like you said, this is in the Phase 4 lineup now. Yeah. So Phase 4 just got even more packed. Holy crap!
Yeah, it's got more shows than movies at this point, which is really weird, but also a good feeling. Like, hey, like they're actually trying to diversify what Marvel is going forward, and it's not just movies every, several months. And I think this is going to afford us a lot of opportunities going forward. One of the other shows I didn't expect to be announced is actually Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and it's an animated show going to the Disney Channel, and with Lawrence Fishburne as the executive producer. Moon Girl is she's an Inhuman. She's the Luna something or other. I forget what her last name is. She's the smartest person in the world, but she's like 8 or 9 years old, and she just doesn't know she's the smartest person in the world because that's what her power is. And then she has a 10-ton T-Rex called Devil Dinosaur. And I wish I knew more about Devil Dinosaur, but I don't.
Man, I love this promo image, though. I love this art style. The background is kind of reminding me a little bit of Spider-Verse, kind of the way they have the color shifting windows. So you can, I mean, you know, I follow a bunch of people in the animation industry on Twitter, and they all fell in love head over heels with Spider-Verse. So you can tell the next superhero property that anyone else out there was working on, they were definitely diving into that Spider-Verse art book. So, yeah, the characters just look great. There's kind of like this cool, like textured look over
like
Devil
halftone?
Dinosaur. Yeah, or like some sort of like, looks like maybe it was possibly drawn on like a very heavily textured paper look. But I think this is going to be very stylized. So you said this is going to the Disney Channel.
Yes.
So now my next streaming service question is, okay, Disney Plus is all about Disney properties. Are they ever going to take stuff on loan from Disney Channel proper? Because I would love to check out Devil Dinosaur and Moon Girl, but I'm not going to be subscribing to the cable. So I'm not kind of curious what their ingestion model is. Well, are these going to be on loan every once in a while into the streaming service or what?
I most certainly think so. We talked earlier about 100 plus Disney Channel original movies going to the streaming service. So I think probably the initial debut on the whole series will be on the Disney Channel. Honestly, I see these maybe being those 10-minute episodes, Mike, we talked about with the audience target here. Maybe not the full 30 minutes. This could be wacky and wild, like adventures with this young girl who's in this crazy outfit and this dinosaur. So once it's done on Disney Channel, I imagine that, once we're wrapped up with the season, the streaming rights immediately go to Disney Plus, nowhere else.
And know what? Since it's animated, I'm just going ahead and assume it's not rooted in the MCU because these, a big dinosaur doesn't seem like it would fit in the MCU at any time soon. So I don't expect them to ever make the jump. So go ahead and get fun with it and get crazy. And I would love to see like Spider-Man show up in this show. It looks like she's in a city. So any sort of hero, I'd love to see them get up in the mix and get in the cut. So go check out this picture in our show notes. The art style looks very, very fun.
Yeah, there was also a Spider-Man show aimed at preschoolers that was announced this weekend as well. It looks like really weird, like circle heads, like very circular heads. Like you can this is meant to sell toys and go towards preschoolers.
Preschool Spider-Man show D23.
Yeah, you're gonna see them like
it looks like they're CG characters.
Yeah, but like they're very much like, I see a toy for a preschooler whenever I see this.
Oh, yeah. These pretty much, Spidey and his amazing friends,
yeah,
these already look like 3D printed Funko Pops. So, yeah, these are going to be selling lots of toys.
But they've got Spider-Man, Miles, and Spider-Gwen, which is the big three there. So that's pretty cool, I thought. So
I think it's Ghost Spider, Chris, so please get with the
program. Well, then it's Kid Arachnid on the other side. So what do you want? What do you want? You want to call them what sounds better or what they're actually called?
Our audience deserves only the most accurate information.
Oh, my gosh. Chris. Do you like going to Disney World, Mike?
You know I love theme parks, man.
Well, good, because they are doing Avengers Campus, a whole park dedicated to Marvel's Avengers, coming to California Adventure, the Paris one, and the Hong Kong one.
Hell yeah.
And we got some concept art here, and it looks like this isn't just a section, like a little world. It looks like a whole kind of big expanded park.
Yeah.
Thing here.
Being anchored back there with the Guardians of the Galaxy ride with the tower. So I don't know exactly if this concept art is for Disneyland, but I'm just going to go ahead and assume since this was showcased like in Anaheim.
Yeah.
But so this kind of pleases me in a couple different ways because I was really happy when Guardians of the Galaxy took over the Tower of Terror because it made a lot of people really upset that they were taking away like kind of like this classic ride with a superhero property. And I just kind of liked rolling around in their despair because it was just really funny that somebody was like so precious about like a Tower of Terror ride. And it's just like, well, the Tower of Terror isn't grossing millions of dollars at the box office, so don't be surprised when Guardians of the Galaxy takes over. But also the parts of California Adventure that they're going to be taking over to build all of this kind of Stark Expo Marvel MCU stuff is just the Hollywood version of the park. So if you've never been to California Adventure before, you walk in and like the back half of it is like this Pixar pier. You got Cars Land, which is themed like Cars. And there was a Bug's Life, but that's getting taken up and being taken over by Marvel. So at least that was a themed kind of Pixar area. But then there's this whole other area that's themed after Los Angeles. So it's supposed to be like, oh, it's like you're walking down Sunset Boulevard. But it's just like, if you're in Anaheim, just on vacation, just take a day and drive up to the real sunset. You don't need it in theme park form. So I'm kind of glad that it seems like they're going to be taking out some of this nostalgic like Hollywood set stuff, which is like just one neighborhood over. You can just go check that out on your own time. So this stuff looks really, really cool. And the theme parks will always be driven towards the biggest money makers. So if anybody's precious about any small little Disney property, be ready for them to be taken over by Disney or
the
Star
Tower
Wars.
of Terror wasn't even a Disney property. That was all
exactly
Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
And yeah, you never get me on that son of a bitch again.
So I'm sure I'm speaking like heresy for some people out there because I like theme parks, but there's some people out there that are gigantic theme park nerds that love all of the little history and intricacies of theme parks. But California Adventure is relatively new. Like, I think it was built back in like the 2000s or something like that. So it's not like some sort of historic landmark. So I don't think anybody's too upset that some stuff might be taken down and then Marvel being erected,
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, it's all, everything has to adapt and get new technology because some of these, I assume these are going to be very, groundbreaking and like look cool as ever. Like, I don't want a water ride through Pirates of the Caribbean that was updated to look like Johnny Depp. Like, that was stupid.
And also, you can't do any of this stuff east of the Mississippi. Like, in Florida, Universal Studios has all of those rights, so this is the only place Disney can really flex their muscles in the United States is Disneyland.
Yeah. And so there's going to be Tony Stark stuff here. There's going to be Iron Man stuff, Avengers stuff here, and there's going to be like Hank Pym stuff here, Pym Technologies. So I kind of want to see a little bit more what they break it down. But this is going to be a huge get onto Disney. And I think I see, if I look on the upper left there, I guess not upper left, but that's the old studio stuff behind it, right, Mike? Is that what I'm seeing? That curve thing with the little light going on there above the blue building?
Above the blue building.
Looks like a curved movie set roof. But,
oh, I see. That could just be like
okay.
What could that be? I don't know. There's some like actual just employees only, like this is where we store the animatronics.
Gotcha.
So that could be some of the stuff in that area. But man, I'm looking forward to this. There were some pictures out at Disneyland, like in the theme park with barriers starting to go up for construction, and it said like Stark Industries like under construction. So they're even going into that. So it seems like it's going to be a couple years until we get any of this really cool stuff, but I'm glad I live out here. I'm going to go to it as soon as it's open.
Yep. Begin recruiting guests in 2020, Mike. So Star Wars this year, Avengers Campus next year. So we'll take a look at that.
It seems like you're going to be coming out and visiting me, Chris.
Yeah, well, we've talked about going, haven't we? Video game news. We got a quick round of video game news here, Mike. We saw Ultimate Alliance 3. I bought it the day we left LA to come home.
Uh-huh.
The first expansion, Marvel Knights Curse of the Vampire, comes out September 30th. It has Blade, Moon Knight, Punisher, Morbius. All of those making their big screen debuts or little screen debuts recently. So that's pretty cool. The Marvel's Avengers panel we saw at San Diego Comic-Con, the 8A gameplay footage has been released to the public that we got to watch there. Yeah. So if you want to know what that looks like and what that feels like, you can watch it. I thought it was awesome. I'm very excited for this game. I might get it on PlayStation so me and Mike can play together.
I might be playing it on Stadia, bro, so you might need to get Stadia.
Well, you got a PlayStation. Just play it on there. You'll actually own the game. That's going to be the hardest part for you. So,
we'll see.
And lastly, Insomniac, the maker of the Spider-Man game for the PlayStation 4, has been purchased by Sony. So they're now part of a first-party studio instead of a third-party studio. And it pretty much ensures a sequel to the #1 superhero game. Not that they needed it, but...
I heard this was pretty good news for Insomniac because even though they make very good games, I guess the word out there was they're kind of struggling. Mm-hmm. So I guess even if you make really great games, you can't always like stay afloat, I guess, without thousands of microtransactions. So maybe Sony buying them saves them. I don't really know.
They made a bunch of great games. They started with Spyro. They made Resistance, Ratchet and Clank. Not Ratchet and Clank, was it? I think so. Yeah, Ratchet
Sure.
and Clank. And then Spider-Man, I mean, it was the number one third-party game on PlayStation 4, and now it was the number one game, superhero game, passing the Batman Arkham game. So, as Mike knows, it's a great game. It needs a sequel. It'd be really good. The Joker has officially landed a hard R rating for its release in October.
Ooh, exciting. This is our next big comic book movie that we're going to be talking about on the show. So seems like maybe we'll get a new trailer here soon.
Yep. Strong bloody violence, disturbing behavior, language, and brief sexual images, Mike. Don't take your kids to see this.
You hear that? The worlds of DC is getting sexy. We're going to see some Joker penis.
I don't think so, but yeah.
It's going to be painted like a clown, so it won't be as disturbing.
Well,
or maybe it makes it more disturbing.
That'd probably get a nice NC-17 rating, but we'll see what we can do here.
It'll have a little red nose on the end, you know? Beep, beep.
God damn it.
Honk, honk.
Either way. So don't take your kids to see the Joker. Or if you're expecting
they'll take them anyway, Chris.
Yeah.
The Boys was rated R, and that was the entirety of the marketing campaign, was letting you know that this was not for kids. Yeah, Good Boys. What did I say?
The Boys. That's a different show.
The Boys. Yeah. No,
also
Good
rated
Boys.
R.
And people still brought their freaking kids that were like the age of the actors in the movie. They're like in the 6th grade. And I was like, your kids don't need to be here. But those kids really love the movie. So I guess if you're a cool uncle and want to take your nephew to a movie, go take him to the Good Boys.
I feel like this is going to be one of those movies everyone goes to see and like, oh, I'm depressed afterwards. Like, I'm not excited to watch it because I feel like I'm not going to feel good when it's done. And I'm like, it'll probably be a good movie, but yeah. Whatever.
Well, just bring some nice sweet treats to give you a nice up.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what I can get. We'll see what I can sneak in. The Matrix. Maybe I'll take me a red pill and a blue pill, Mike. That's what I'll take to the Joker, because then I can go to the Matrix. The 4th film in the franchise is in the works with one of the original siblings, Lana Wachowski, to direct. Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss are to reprise their roles as Neo and Trinity, with the script calling for a younger version of Morpheus to be cast.
What is going on here? I thought all of these characters were dead, and if you do a younger version of Morpheus, like is there going to be like time travel here? Can Keanu go back in time via the Matrix and find a younger Morpheus?
Is it a flashback?
Yeah, and where's the other
flashback.
Wachowski? Why aren't they on board? Are they out there doing something else?
So I looked into that one. Lily Wachowski doesn't like doing sci-fi anymore because they were overburdened with requests to do sci-fi literally after doing The Matrix, and she's like, I don't want to do sci-fi anymore. So that's really why she said no to this one.
Oh. So this will be interesting. I think everything that the Wachowskis have ever done, they've done together. I'm sure there's been different degrees of workload, because they work on multiple projects at a time. So who knows? But this will be interesting to see a single Wachowski taking on a property. Maybe they'll start to differentiate themselves a little bit and see, maybe they have their own little preferences of how they like to film and direct, but I just have tons of questions. We thought we were getting a younger Morpheus movie, and maybe we actually are, but also I had no clue Keanu was going to be coming back. But I have a feeling Keanu has a really soft spot in his heart for the Matrix movies, because they made his career what it was, and he was always super cool. There's so many stories about him. Like,
you don't think Speed made him a
I think the Matrix sent him into the stratosphere. It changed him from just like,
All right, it showed his fighting skills. I'll give you that.
Yeah, it kind of just took him to different heights. So I'm sure he has a soft spot in his heart, but only tons of questions. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if, in a year or so, the movie like just goes off the rails and it never happens, just because it just seems too weird. But I guess we'll find out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of ways they can do this, and nobody knows. But it sounds like nobody's like, it's been 25 years, right? I think, or 20 years, however long, I think 20 years. Maybe we can go back into this. Maybe we can ease ourselves into it. Like we talked about like new technology and all that, before. So, we'll see how it goes. James Bond 25, our last bit of news here, has been given a title, and I thought this was actually a very stylish video, Mike, to reveal the title, and called No Time to Die. As usual, Bond is not working at the start of the movie, and then he's brought back in to rescue somebody. So, but I thought the reveal was pretty cool. I don't know
It
about you.
seems like this is like a very vintage title,
Yeah.
and even the type treatment that they did for this reveal,
Yeah.
seems like they're very focused on kind of like that golden age of Bond. But Daniel Craig is not a golden age of Bond character or actor, so I'm not really sure if they're just using this for marketing purposes, or because they're not going to take that kind of wacky route.
Yeah.
They're gonna stay solid. So maybe this is just kind of paying subtle homage, but this is supposed to be Daniel Craig's last outing as Bond. So
well, Rami
who knows?
Malek is the villain in this movie, and he plays a pretty good. Apparently, he's got some sort of technology that they're going to use against humans, I guess, whatever that is, as usual. But I mean, he may not be wacky Bond, but I do enjoy maybe like the adventure is wackier, not wackier, but more old school spy-esque rather than like, hey,
Jetpacks.
it's just an action movie the whole damn time. Like
We
pumps and
want
brakes.
jetpacks. Jetpacks are real now, so it's not even far-fetched.
Yeah, they definitely are. But we haven't seen. They haven't said. Was it Pierce Brosnan had die in like most of his movies, like Tomorrow Never Dies, Die Another
Pierce
Day.
Brosnan, my Bond, my Volcano Man. I'm so glad you brought him back up. Did you guys watch Dante's Peak yet?
Oh my God, we only had like one person comment on that, Mike. No one's watching it.
I had someone reach out to say Dante's Peak is a solid film, so I'm glad some people out there.
It was the one person, and it was Jacob. I know it was you, Jacob. I know you're listening right now, and I know what you've done. But yeah, that's fine. You guys enjoy your movies, your bad little movies. Mike can go watch The
they're
Good
great.
Boys again, and we can call it a day. But James Bond comes out April 8th, 2020.
That's different, actually. I think the last couple Bond movies have come out in November, so maybe they feel like it might fare a little bit better earlier in the year.
I think it was also pushed back. Didn't Daniel Craig hurt himself on set or something recently?
Oh, I don't know what that potato man is up to.
Right, he looks like a potato in a suit. That's all I'm saying.
He's gonna be in isn't he in a Ryan Johnson movie coming out? Knives Out.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
people in Knives Out though.
Yeah, it looks good.
Chris Evans looks really fun in that one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's loose a little bit. But that's our D23 recap episode. We have been here almost an hour and a half, if not longer.
What a week of news.
Yeah, what a whirlwind of ups and downs, like throughout the whole thing. So I'm glad we were able to make it here and get through this. But Mike, let's go ahead. Keep it short for the people. Where can they find you this week?
Well, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram and Twitter, and you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, people want to catch up with you, find out what you're doing. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Valdan, Valdan, or head over to Instagram, Valdan87. You can also head over to Comic UI if you want to do that. People want to know more about what we're doing, maybe listen to some of our older review episodes. We got those on here and some other news. Where can they find those at?
As always, all you got to do is visit superheroslate.com. That is the best place to find all the avenues we host the show and to get our awesome show notes. And man, do we have show notes this week. Tons of links. So we talked about a lot of leak stuff, a lot of screenshots, pictures from the stage. So go check all of that out in our show notes, and you can get us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and you can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. That is superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you people. I love knowing when you guys watch Dante's Peak. So all you got to do is reach out and talk to us. We want all of your thoughts and opinions on D23. Which new show are you most excited for? Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, or She-Hulk? I got to know. I got to know how they're going to make Moon Knight a thing. Didn't he get infected or cursed by some sort of idol in Egypt? I gotta know what the hell's going on there. So reach out, let us know what you think is going to happen with them. And we love our super fans of this show. So if you want to be a super fan, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every single week.
All right, we'll see you guys.
All right, adios.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
I'm the Pineapple Henry's guy with 0 sugar, hard sparkling water.
Is that the new Billie Eilish song?